Citizens of several countries evacuated from Sudan.
400,000 people who desperately need food assistance.
Kaplan News is on the ground in one of those nations, Jordan. Border crisis.
This task is going to be too great.
As a controversial U.S. law is set to expire in just days. Florida's governor identifies countries of concern.
We don't want the CCP in the Sunshine State,
including 2 from Latin America. And the Heat on the home court battling for a Game 4 win. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Hawa Ezel.
And I'm Kenya Cardone. Today is Tuesday, May 9th of 2023.
Live from the FIU Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Crisis in Sudan, evacuations ordered, and some of those are from Jordan. An update as talks to end the violence continue.
Kaplan News reporter Leanne Abu Tarbouche has the latest from Amman, Jordan.
I'm here in Amman, Jordan, where over 660 people, including 85 Jordanians, have been evacuated from Sudan in the wake of an ongoing crisis. Now, pre-negotiations are set to take place in Jeddah on Saturday. The conflict in Sudan began as a power struggle between rival generals Abdel Fattah Burhan and Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, and it has resulted in hundreds of deaths and forced over thousands of people to flee across borders. Sudan is facing a severe food crisis that has impacted people's access to food and water. Before the conflict, approximately 1/3 of the population was already facing hunger, and the situation is worsening.
We have estimated some 400,000 people who desperately need food assistance.
Although a tentative ceasefire has allowed foreign nations to evacuate their citizens from Sudan, the local population continues to face deteriorating conditions. The U.S. and Saudi Arabia have organized talks in Jeddah for Saturday between the Sudanese army and the RSF, urging both factions to engage actively for a ceasefire. The conflict has forced international organizations such as the United Nations to provide aid to affected areas. However, the severe shortage of food has resulted in looting incidents.
They've not only looted our food, but some of our trucks are gone. They've completely gone into our housing and destroyed that. It's an all-out wilding, as far as I'm concerned, in Sudan.
The instability in Sudan raises concerns of it destabilizing neighboring African and Middle Eastern countries. This is a significant worry for the U.S., which had hoped for Sudan to transition to democracy before civil war broke out. Despite the complexity of the situation, progress towards solving the Sudanese crisis is being made. I'm reporting for the South Florida Media Network, Leanne Abu Tarbouche.
During the pandemic, a policy was enacted that allowed the government to turn away countless migrants at the border. This policy is called Title 42, and it is set to expire on Thursday.
Migrant Demario Jones sees crossing the border as a singular mission.
I just want to go to the U.S. to get a work, to change my life and live a good life.
But border communities say an increase in migrants is an exponentially larger problem.
This task is going to be too great.
Yuma's mayor says a month ago, 300 people a day crossed the border near his community. And Sunday, he says, there were 1,000.
The federal government is unprepared to meet the demands of the expected influx.
The governor of Texas launched a border response team because he claims the federal government isn't doing enough.
While Texas is doing everything possible to try to stop people from crossing the border, at the very same time, the President of the United States is putting out the Welcome Act.
Texas has bused migrants to places like New York City, which now wants to send some to nearby Rockland County, New York.
We cannot put the needs of the people who are being sent here ahead of our own residents.
The county executive declared a state of emergency, requiring New York City to cover costs of any migrants. Republicans in the House have put forth a bill to extend current policies, but which the White House says would make the situation worse.
The bill, H.R. 2, would be a disaster for border security and a Christmas morning gift for human smugglers.
The bill is scheduled for a vote the same day that Title 42 is scheduled to expire and unlikely to pass the Democratic-controlled Senate.
Since 2020, over 2 million migrants have been expelled by U.S. Customs and Border Protection at the southern border using Title 42.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed several bills yesterday aimed at limiting the influence of so-called countries of concern, including China and some Latin American countries. There are 3 key bills that were signed. One limits nations buying from land or land that is within 10 miles of critical infrastructure. Another law bans foreign-owned apps like TikTok from government networks. And the third piece of legislation prohibits state universities from accepting grants from certain countries.
Today, Florida makes it very clear we don't want the CCP in the Sunshine State. We want to maintain this as the free state of Florida, and that's exactly what these bills are doing.
The full list of countries of concern included the legislation are China, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, and Syria.
One man was hurt and another was killed following a vehicle crash near Orlando. Officials say a driver was speeding yesterday while heading on Wild Blackberry Trail and failed to negotiate a curve. He hit a mailbox, a tree, and a light pole before striking a pedestrian. The driver was rushed to the hospital and the pedestrian was pronounced dead on the scene.
President Biden is meeting with all 4 congressional leaders today to discuss the looming debt ceiling crisis. The possible deadline is less than a month away, and while both sides remain split about how to move forward, senior Treasury officials reiterate dire warnings of economic chaos if the debt ceiling isn't lifted. More now from CNN's John Lawrence.
The battle in the Beltway over the U.S.'s $31.4 trillion debt ceiling is like an unstoppable force heading toward an immovable object. Eventually, something's going to have to give.
Neither side really is eager to see a default. So, they obviously have tough negotiations ahead.
President Joe Biden and most Democratic lawmakers want the limit raised without any cuts.
Well, there is no plan B. Our plan is for Congress to act to address the debt limit without conditions, just like they've done 78 times in the past.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and most Republicans say they will boost the ceiling, but with some purse tightening.
Look at the inflation rate now, 6 to 7% per month, year over year. This is just emptying out people's pockets.
Biden, McCarthy, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, and Senators Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell are discussing the matter Tuesday. And the clock is ticking. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the U.S. could default as soon as June 1st.
I think in the end, if we're coming to the deadline and they're still at an impasse, my guess is that they'll find a way to extend the time limit and give themselves more time to talk.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
White House economists and independent analysts have warned a potential default could result in major economic woes, including the plunging of the stock market and the loss of millions of jobs.
Not everyone is a fan of the Oscars' new diversity guidelines. Actor Richard Dreyfuss said in an interview Friday that such rules, quote, make me vomit. Starting in 2024, movies must meet certain criteria for representation to be eligible for the Academy Award for Best Picture. The Jaws actor claimed he should not be forced to comply with the, quote, most current idea of what morality is.
As the writers' strike in Hollywood enters its 8th day, President Biden is calling for studios to come up with a fair deal. The president made his comments yesterday during a White House screening to honor Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. He emphasized his desire to see the writers' strike get resolved.
Nights like these are a reminder of the power of stories and the importance of treating storytellers with dignity, respect, and the value they deserve. I sincerely hope the writers' strike in Hollywood gets resolved and the writers are given a fair deal they deserve as soon as possible.
The Writers Guild has signaled that the strike could last for months. President Biden has not indicated whether his administration will get involved in the labor talks.
The Marlins hit the road yesterday to secure a win in Phoenix, but the Diamondbacks put up a fight.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
Adebayo asking for it. Gets the step.
The Heat came out firing last night in Game 4 against the Knicks with their eyes set on reaching the conference finals, but the Knicks didn't give in. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Bill is a family man. He invests his money wisely and provides a good life for his children. Just one problem. He often opens emails from senders he doesn't know, and his computer is not password protected. One day, Bill checked his bank account and 94% of malware attacks originate from emails. Don't be like Bill. Take your cybersecurity seriously.
The pressure is heating up as the Heat are one win away from reaching their second consecutive conference final as they set up for 5 against the Knicks.
And although the Knicks put up a fight, there were no match for Jimmy Butler and the Heat. Bam Adebayo leads the team's advance with his aggressive action, and Caleb Martin had the play of the game with his poster dunk later in the fourth quarter. The final score of the game was Knicks 101, Heat 109, and the two teams will head to New York for Game 5 of their series tomorrow at 7:30 p.m.
The Marlins are looking for redemption after losing their first game of their series against the Arizona Diamondbacks on the road. The Fish were probably jet-lagged as the game started late last night Eastern Time. The match as a whole was slow in the first 5 innings with 1 run each team. Then in the 6th, the D-backs scored 3 runs and more after the Marlins not being able to come back. The final score of the game was Marlins 2, Diamondbacks 5. The teams will play again tonight at 9:40 p.m. for Game 2 of their series. You're watching SFMN Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Yo, Scott.
Hey.
I'm heading out, man. You want to ride?
No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, you know what? I was just in there. The line is like 10 people long.
You know, I think I'll just...
Dude, are you okay?
You wouldn't believe what I was just thinking. I am definitely buzzed.
Yeah.
I think I will take this, and I will take that ride home.
Smart man.
Did you see how that dog was looking at me?
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Well, that's all the time that we have for Newsbreak. I'm Kenya Cardone.
I'm Halwa Ezel. Get any news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.